Sure. I'll talk it out.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
Track 3.
Better not be fucking Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Those of you who don't want to be a part of this can leave now.
Derek, please listen to me.
But if you choose to stay, which it seems like you guys are choosing...
Derek, please.
You understand and agree to the following terms and conditions.
Derek!
1.
Derek, this is the virus.
You hereby waive your right
Derek, please.
to your own personal bodily integrity.
This is not you.
2.
I'm a life...
Per the State versus Neville Reed, my colleague and I will not be held criminally liable for any felony or misdemeanor that you may be a victim of, including, but not limited to, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, destruction of property, mayhem, and first-degree murder. And 3, terms and conditions may change or be updated whenever the fuck I want! Consider yourselves notified.
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis with my co-host, Kevin Lambert from Entertainment Headquarters. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. I've not long finished night shift, working the grind, as we know. And then I had the pleasure of waking up and watching this lovely film.
You know, interesting thing, because I'm looking at our intro there, and obviously The Crow is like one of my favorite movies of all time. I just found out through watching our reaction video that the director of the John Wick films, Chad Stoll or whatever his name is, was the stunt double for Brandon Lee and finished the film for The Crow. I didn't know that. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I was actually. And obviously what he's been able to do with the John Wick franchise shows you he knows his stuff from
Yeah.
top to bottom. He started at the bottom. He's actually knows from being a stunt person and a stunt coordinator what to do to make great action sequences, and it
Oh
certainly
yeah.
plays off within the John Wick franchise.
Yep. But in this episode, we will be talking about your pick, 2023's Craving, which is now streaming on Tubi, directed by Jay Horton. Cast consists of Felisa Rose, Sleepaway Camp, Al Gomez, Holly Rockwell, and a slew of other people I don't really know. Plot is a group of drug addicts are besieged by a group of mysterious figures inside a rural bar. As withdrawal starts to set in, a secret one of them is carrying threatens to destroy them all. So basically, what we have here is Felisa Rose's character, Les, is a bartender and owner of this bar called The Last Exit. Fitting. She has, of course, some bar hands there. One of the waitresses is Rachel Amanda Bryant, who plays Shiloh. She becomes like a central figure throughout the film. And all of a sudden, one evening, we have a group of people coming in who are armed with guns, and they're like basically heroin addicts that they're actually being pursued by a guy named Hunter for some reason. So we have two groups. We got the drug addicts inside the bar, taking the bartenders and everybody, patrons, as hostage. And then you have this other group outside hunting the addicts. No idea why at this point or what's going on. So really, I want to get your opinion on what your first thoughts of with the early part of the movie and what's going on there.
Well, the first part of the movie, it's like it's very quite. It's just surrounded in mystery, isn't it? Because it's just your average evening in a bar. There's like the regulars just going about the business. You've got like you've got like the Bigfoot, the guy that's obsessed. I think it was Jonah. I think his name was. He's obsessed with Bigfoot, and he's
Yeah.
trying to chat up the. He's trying to chat up the the bartender behind the bar. Then you've got the cowboy dude who's just a douchebag.
Right.
Who's he's trying to hit on the local disc jockey DJ, and she basically tells him to fuck off, which I loved. And then you get somebody enters the bar who clearly is connected with him, who's like, I think her name was Cece.
Yes. Yep.
I think, yeah, that was Cece, and she's a drug addict, and she's clearly using the douchebag, who I think's I forgot what his name is.
Yeah, he's one of the minor characters.
He's one of the main. I think it's yeah. So my initial reaction is it's just your stereotypical, easy put together setup for these kind of movies. In a bar,
Yeah, we should
shit's
note
gonna go down.
that early in the film, like when it first starts, we have a couple of sheriff and a deputy walk into the bar. There's been like this huge ass massacre, and at that point early in the film, the only person that's alive is Shiloh. She's there and she's scared and all this other stuff. And then it flips back to how the night started, how we got to that point. Obviously, a lot of chit chat and flirtation going on in the bar. Like I said, Felisa's one of the main bartenders and the owners. She's there. And then, of course, this group comes in that I talked about, and they start like they're holding the bar and the patrons all by a gunpoint. And like at first, you're kind of like, well, what the fuck? You're being pursued, but now you're pulling guns on us as if we are the criminals here. So there's like this weird thing going on between the drug addicts and the bartender and the bar people. And obviously we have basically there's almost like 5 or 6 of them, but there's 4 main characters, and we have Gail, who's the blonde. She seems to be kind of like the group leader, along with this other gentleman, the older people that are running this little group of addicts. And then we have Will, who is clearly going through withdrawal. He's really, really suffering there. and they're trying to like help him out and protect him. I guess they keep saying he needs a fix, and we're thinking it's just this regular withdrawal symptoms, but apparently, as we learn throughout the movie, it's the drug has a purpose with him specifically, but we don't really learn that till later. And then we had this other pair, these pair of girls, Frenzy and Low, and they're of course a couple, but they're kind of more young, 20-ish something females part of the addict group. And Frenzy on the right there, she's a piece of work. She's very feisty, talks a lot of shit. Her character is one of those people that you just can't wait to die if it ever happens. Like
Yeah.
you're watching this film. So.
She's like purposely annoying.
Yes.
She's
yes.
like that person on the night out that you wish and you can't wait to get beat up at the end of the night because
And then
you're
of
just
course
letting them out go.
right. Yeah, she has a girlfriend Lo, who's this Asian girl who is basically kind of quiet, and it's kind of mysterious in some ways. And she's also kind of the one that whenever Frenzy starts getting out of hand or too loud or whatever, she has to kind of calm Frenzy down just to tell her to chill the fuck out or whatever.
And
And
if
then
you
of course
noticed,
go ahead.
with Lo as well, she doesn't speak.
Yes. Yep.
Like she
Yeah.
doesn't
I
have
don't know if
one.
she's mute or something, but yeah.
She doesn't like have one bit of dialogue in
Yeah.
this film.
And then on the outside, we have this group of white gentlemen, led by this guy named Hunter, and he's basically telling the bar like, please just send these people out, and you can go about your way, even though the people in the bar have no choice in the matter because they've got guns on them. But Hunter's just basically like, we need them to come out or whatever, and we don't really know what the purpose of this is or why they're being pursued. It could be like they stole drugs or something, and Hunter and them are just trying to get it back. We don't really haven't learned the purpose of everything just yet. Obviously, by the name of the movie and some of the stills you may have seen, it's a monster movie of type, so we don't know how that's going to play out yet.
It's a creature feature.
One thing the movie tries to do, and ultimately it didn't really work for me, but I don't know for you, but clearly when we have the group inside the bar, we understand that something's not right. One of them is probably not who they say they are. And the movie tries, and the director tries to use this misdirection. And it works a little bit because we look at Lo and we say to ourselves, something doesn't seem really right about her, because she's like, as you said, she's like this quiet mouse in the corner. Everyone's like bickering and arguing and fighting with one another, but she's the one that's kind of just staying back. And so there's this misdirection. It's like, is she the one that maybe is going to flip out and do whatever, or what's her story? And when you're watching this, like, at what point are you saying, like, because I know there's like some sort of creature involved. What is your idea of what's going to happen at this point?
Well, I thought my initial reaction, because it's very slow paced, and I think that's the film's downfall 100%, is that, with these type of movies, it has to just basically have a plot. You have your main plot, and then you get from A to B very quickly, and then that's when the fun's meant to start. And it should be easy viewing, where it was too much of a slow burn, and I got to the point where I was just wanting something to happen. I was just waiting for something to happen. Like, we've established that there's two groups of people. You've got the original, patrons of the bar. Then you have the heroin addicts that come in. Then you have the ones chasing them. So basically, there you go. You've got your plot. And there's a secret among these individuals in the bar and the ones outside of the bar. And the patrons that are regulars, they're stuck in the middle. So there's your plot. So once you've established that, that's when you need to start making shit happen.
Yep.
And nothing happened.
And I think it's unfortunate because there are some interesting characters. As annoying that Frenzy is, like, she's a character that you're like, okay, this girl's gonna like lose her shit. Like, we're gonna see some crazy shit with her. But it seems like throughout the movie, it never really there's no real depth to any of the characters. So like they kind of rush through everybody. And even though it's a slow movie, we don't get that character development the way we
Yeah.
want. I was kind of disappointed that with Felisa, her character,
Yeah.
she wasn't in it for very long. And I know, spoiler alert, but her death scene was kind of shocking. That's like one of the better moments. Like it caught me off guard when her death scene happened. So I thought that was kind of cool. But as far as like the action, you're right. It doesn't really get to anything. It's like watching paint dry. Like
Yeah.
you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And when it finally happens,
there's no payoff. I thought there was no payoff. It
Right.
reminds me of. I was quite frustrated by the end because we finally get to the point in the movie where things are starting to happen, where we're thinking, right, this is it. We've waited this long. You need to have a payoff. And this, when it comes to like the end where you see things going down, and like obviously, spoiler alert, like these characters are very interesting. Like they all have their own kind of backstory, because that's the only thing I will give a positive about the film. Like one of the positives is that you have like I said, we've set up the characters, we've set up the three kind of teams, and then throughout there's different flashbacks. They're like 3 days before of, like you said, the frenzy character. She's with these people in the bar, but she's also got a secret motive behind it. And then you've got Hunter's character, who's the leader of the ones outside that are hunting these people. You see his backstory of how he's got his ex-wife, who he separated from, who had a partner called Carl, who his ex-wife's now dating, who has a son who his ex-wife's adopted, and the son has the secret. And so that was very interesting, and I was waiting to see what the payoff was from that. And then obviously you've got like even Shiloh's character. There's something about her. I always thought there was a mystery behind her character rather than just being the stereotypical barmaid that's in the bar. I was expecting something to happen with her as well, which it kind of does, which you find out at the end.
Yeah. So we find out that Gail, the blonde leading the addicts in the bar, she sort of took over the mommy role for Will, who's now more of like a teenager rather than a little kid. And Hunter outside is his father, but it's actually Carl. We realize that Carl was actually the mother, been sleeping around or something, and it turns out to be Carl's son. But we find out that Will, as a kid, was scratched by a creature, and at this point, we really don't know how it plays into everything, but that whatever he's going through, the drugs were helping repress that change or whatever. Now, personally, I wasn't super impressed with the monster effects in this, or even the monster look. I thought the gore was okay, for what it was, but I don't know, just it didn't really blow me away in terms of like scariness or anything like that. In terms of the monster, it's just kind of a boring look for it, and I didn't really even like the fact that the change was so undramatic, I guess I would put it as, because I thought it'd be just much more than that. And I don't know, how did you feel about all that part of it?
Well, for me personally, I watched the trailer, and that's why I recommended this, because just via the trailer, it looked like it was going to be a very gory, fun ride. And for me, this has been a complete disappointment, I'll be honest. It's
Usually,
one of them films
Kevin's batting
the trailer
100.
is misleading.
Yeah.
We are big fans of the Kaiju franchise, and we're a big fan of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And one of its complaints with that particular film is whenever the monsters in that particular film were going to go fight and clash, it would cut away from the actual fighting. Right. Now, the creature design, it was okay, but I think the film was made on a budget of 800,000. So I can put that aside. Aside. The budget. They didn't have the money to create, a super duper amazing outfit. But I'll give that a pass. It was all right. It was. I've seen better, and I know that even probably on a budget like that, the people could have made something better. So I'll let that pass. But my biggest frustration when I said it's a very slow burn, and when you finally get to the action where Will's no longer getting the drugs he needs to subdue his transformation, and he transforms, and then he's now basically running amok in the bar and he's attacking people. You see him grab people, and then the camera would pull away, and then you would just see bits of blood splatter out. Then you'd see a
Right.
handful of guts on the floor. I wanted to actually see the disembodiment. I wanted to see
Exactly.
the blood. I wanted to see the gore. I wanted to see, the heads getting ripped off. The only thing that I enjoyed, and it was the first kill, and it was when he had Frenzy, and he basically did the Predator.
Yeah.
Grabbed her, and he ripped her head off, and pulled her spinal cord out, and he held it up. But instead of showing him holding the spinal cord and the head up, you see it for a second, and it goes, and it flashes back. And that, for me, was what really pissed me off and disappointed me about the movie. Not the slow pacing, because I thought, right, we're getting to the payoff, there's a transformation happening, we're getting the guts, we're getting to the gore, this'll save the film, and it didn't.
Yeah,
For me,
I thought as a story it was pretty promising. Like you had some pretty interesting characters, but it's like even for Gail, like you kind of thought initially she was going to be this like more impactful character, and eventually she really wasn't. Then you have Frenzy, like we said, who really is kind of like the feisty, annoying girl, but uh, when she finally bites it, it's not really a payoff there either, other than the fact that we know what happened. We just, as you said, it doesn't let you linger into the. You don't get to soak it in that she's dying like a very like fucked up way.
like,
I thought
I
also,
agree. Like, I agree with you that the story had promise. It was an interesting twist, and they could have really developed it more, and did a lot with it. And I think they didn't do enough with it. And like you
yeah,
say, like any good film, especially an action movie or sci-fi movie or a horror movie, the payoff is what you call to pay for. That's the scares. That's the fight. Like if it's a horror movie, you go for the scares and the kills, the creativeness of that. If you go to an action movie, you want to see the heart. You want to see the action. And then right at the end, if you've got a good bunch of characters, whether it's a hero or a villain, the payoff in a movie is to see the villain get his comeuppance or the hero to win in whatever way, shape, form, or fashion. And with this particular film, like you've mentioned, Frenzy, she got her comeuppance, but you didn't actually see it happen. You just seen the aftermath, really.
right.
And Gail's character, I thought had a lot of promise, and I was expecting her because she was like you see the mother figure, and she
Hmm.
was protecting Will. But then I thought she might have to turn and sacrifice herself and like basically do the ultimate thing and go and fight Will is in monster
Right,
form. And
right.
kind of, I looked at her like the way she was dressed, the way she was kind of acting. She gave me Sarah Connor, Ellen Ripley vibes.
Yep,
And
yep,
that's kind of what I was expecting by the end of the movie. Well, for that to happen, for that to transform into like being like, a very sympathetic character who then has to turn into a badass to do the ultimate sacrifice and,
yep.
go after Will. And unfortunately, that didn't happen either. And so that kind of disappointed me as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I think, as I look at the title and everything, I think more like I would have liked this movie. It just if they had gone and like instead of the monster itself, maybe the hidden message for the addicts was that they were actually craving flesh. Like if they were actually cannibals, like I think that
Yeah.
would be more interesting
There
than
would have
the
been.
monster itself.
That's like hint, like Hunter keeps hinting. You see the flashbacks with him, and he's talking to Carl, and the talk about Will as the child, and then he doesn't. You kind of knew there was something there with Will because even though he doesn't outright call him the monster, he goes, Will, and then he goes, I'm going to get that monster at some point. I'm going to get justice for the death of my wife. But you kind of knew there was something. So even though Will was turned out, yes, to be the monster, like you say, Will could have been like a bit like, they could have done a total, different plot twist where there was no actual monster, but Will was
Yeah.
just a bloody psychopath. And
Yeah.
he was like a
Yeah.
little kid, Michael Myers. Like Michael Myers killed his sister in Halloween, and then he grew up to be the serial killer. They could have done a plot twist where there wasn't actually no actual monster, but
Hmm.
to stop his stop his crazy, psychopathic tendencies, they were having to keep him jacked up on drugs. And then when he
Yeah.
comes off them, he goes into killer mode and then goes fucking batshit crazy and just
Yep.
goes around mutilating people. That would have been a different plot twist as well.
Oh hell yeah! Like I just, I mean, obviously when they make these things, it's their vision of what they want, and I'm fine with that. But like sometimes, you know as well as I, because you watch films as much as I do, that when you're watching a film, something like this, you say to yourself, "Well, that's kind of a missed opportunity, man. You could have did something a little bit more innovative in terms of like the character instead of just going to the monster as your go-to." Like I think that you could have done exactly as you said, made Will to be a little bit more of a psychopath, or somebody that where the drugs were the only thing that really kept him under control. And even though the other addicts weren't aware of this, and only Gail, that would set up that battle you talk about between Gail and Will. That would have been very cool. That would have made
Yeah,
this movie like 10 times better than it actually
yeah.
ended up being.
And the thing is with films and titles can be misleading, and might have a hidden meaning behind them. So,
Yeah.
like, I recently watched the sci-fi movie that's on Hulu and is internationally on Disney Plus. That No One Will Save You, which is a sci-fi movie, an alien abduction film. I really do recommend it. But I watched it, and there was the ending. So I said some people are going to enjoy the ending, some people are going to probably be disappointed. But I didn't mind the ending because I paid attention to stuff that was going on in the background and things that were on like the main character's desk and letters that were left around. And so for me, I didn't mind the ending. So that
So
had
it's kind
something.
of like Shyamalan esque, I guess.
Mm, yeah, yes, it is. Yes. That had hidden meaning, and the film's title is "No One Will Save You," but there's meaning behind that, which I'll not spoil for anyone that wants to watch it. And like with Craving, like you say, Cravens, you could have done something where you you look at the trailer, you look at what's in front of you, but then they could have went in a total different direction. So the title and the trailer itself could have been a misdirection to something a lot better and a lot more.
Yeah.
But they didn't go down that route.
Hmm.
And for me, I was disappointing. The acting was subpar. Some of them, I think, some of the acting was okay. Some of the acting I thought was terrible.
Yeah.
Um, I was highly disappointed with the blood and the guts. Like I say, it's a slow burn with it's an all right plot. Like I say, you have your setup, and then it's after you have your setup, it's how they take that setup and what they do with it. And they didn't do much with it. And that's
Yeah.
that's the issue. Like you say, it's the creator's vision. This was what he wanted, but I just don't think it paid off. The action, not the action, but the gore side of it was disappointing as well. The
And
trailer,
I thought the ending was very predictable. Like I
yeah,
didn't like that either. It's just way too predictable for me there with
yeah,
that.
yeah. Like how come like the character of Will killed everybody in the bar, but was hesitant to kind of kill Shiloh, and then
Right.
we see what happens there. Um, But yeah, and because I was so disappointed and frustrated, and I did a 13-hour night shift, and I woke up to watch it, I thought I need to get a glass of wine to get me through this. A bit of the bubbly. My second viewing of Craving.
There's a bubbly. So okay, so let's give it a rating. Where'd you finally end up with when you rating this out of 10?
Right, I'll give it the positives. The positives are I would say, even though even though the death scenes don't play out, was quite happy with seeing the blood and the blood and the guts on the floor and all that stuff. So the gore side's good. The beginning, the first half, good, but the rest of it just falls flat for me. So unfortunately, I'm going to give it a low score. I'm going to give it 4 out of 10.
That's exactly where I landed. 4 out of 10. I don't have any uh motivation to watch this again. I didn't even watch it a second time. Like I got everything I needed on that first run. I didn't even have to look at it a second
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
So uh nothing really against Felisa. Felisa's like one of the better parts of it. Like I said, I think if you even would have made her like the heroine by the end, that would have been pretty
hmm
cool. Uh I would suggest people, if you like Felisa Rose and her work, go check out Wolf Hollow. She's excellent in that. She actually has a more meatier role in that. So I would recommend that over this. Again, I appreciate directors that put out stuff. I mean, I don't ever want to sway anybody from living their dream, but
yeah.
our job as viewers and lovers of movies and entertainment, like this is what we do. So sometimes when you watch something, it's not always a good review. It's just kind of how it goes.
And like, being an independent movie, you've got to give him props for what he did do. Like I say, don't see much of the death scenes, but when you do see the blood and the guts, you can see he has tried to make an effort in trying
Yeah.
to showcase that. So, any independent writer, creator, director, you've got to respect them for trying to do and bring their vision the best they can to light. Because it's
Yeah, I
not
think
even.
if they had had another half hour, and let's just go with your theory about if they made Will more of a psychopath, right?
Mhm.
If they had spent time uh focused on the characters of Gail, Will, Low, and Frenzy, I think that would have been a kind of
Yeah,
cool starting point to
yeah.
what they could have done. Because, like I said, Low and Frenzy were kind of crazy on their own marriage. There's a scene with Low where she flips out a little bit and she does some crazy shit. And so that was a cool part. That was one of the few highlights for me in the movie. And I think her characters,
Maybe that's another justice to the film, because you've got so many different characters,
yeah,
and you have all these different characters, and then basically when you've got so many characters, there's only so much in the time frame of this, because this film's only like 1.5 hours, I think.
yeah, it's pretty
There's only
short.
so much you can do with the time that's given. So really, yes, you've got a load of like characters, but you should have only had maybe 3 or 4 main characters: Will, Gail, Shiloh, and maybe Friends. You should have been the four. You should have had maybe
Yeah,
the 4 women. You should have had maybe bit of a like a woman empowerment thing, and have the 3 women, 2 against 1, and Will in the middle, who's the
yeah,
threat. And maybe they could
yeah,
have done, even went down the route of the 3 women teaming up and becoming a trio to take down Will.
hmm,
They could have went down that route as well, but unfortunately, it didn't. And like you said, the ending was predictable, and I think how it ended and went was predictable.
yeah,
And like because I watched this on Tubi, even at the end when the credits are rolling, I didn't really get to see much of what was going on, because obviously it flashes up at the end of the film of like the next film that's about to play.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
didn't even get to see like some of the kills after what happens at the end.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, not the best film, obviously, but I've had my share of stinker picks so far when we've been doing this show. So
But no, your last pick was one of the best porno.
yeah, occasionally we get like a gem in there, which is good. So what do you? Because you've now, for those that have been watching us for a while, Mr. Lambert here has his own channel, and he's been putting out his own content, which I fully endorse. So, what do you have coming up that you want to tell people about?
Right, so for the month of October, as you know, we're heading into Halloween season. So I do have two things that I want to do. I am actually going on a team building day with some friends from work tomorrow. We're going and heading into the seaside village, fishing village of Whitby, which is up here in the northeast of England. Now, Whitby is the home and one of the inspirations for Bram Stoker, who, as we all know, wrote the book Dracula, and Dracula became and is an iconic character. So I will be doing a personal video blog of my time in Whitby, which I will be putting on the channel, which is the entertainment headquarters for anybody that wants to check it out. And then, of course, on the 13th of October, which is the Friday the 13th, we will, because I'm celebrating all things Bram Stoker this month, I'm going to be doing my first ever live stream on the channel, reviewing Bram Stoker's Dracula which is the Francis Ford Coppola one, which stars Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, and as Dracula himself, of course, the amazing Gary Oldman. And of course, I would like you to be a part of that.
Yep.
I would like if DJ Neko would like to be a part of that. She's more than welcome. And there are two things that I've got coming up in the month of October. But I am later today. I will be doing some trailer reactions, so check that out as well.
Cool deal. Yeah, I think what I have in the plans right now. Next Friday, Neko and I watched this film recently on Shudder. Called Come True. Amazing soundtrack. I told Kevin and a few other people about this the other day. We're going to review that next week, but I highly recommend it for people. It's not really true horror, but it's got some horror elements in it, but it's also got some nice little romance, and just it's a very interesting flick. I'd highly recommend people check it out. And then later tonight, we're going to be interviewing Joel Bailey from Media Glitch. He's a director. He's a game reviewer, gamer. So we're going to be talking down with him and doing a personal one-to-one with him. And then hopefully coming soon, maybe next week, Jose Prendez, known as Master Chaos on YouTube. He's got a new film called The Exorcist, not to be confused with the New Believer one. His own version of The Exorcist, which stars Kate Hodge, Denise Duff, as well as Doug Bradley, who played Pinhead, the original Pinhead, and Hellraiser.
Oh, cool.
So I will be talking with Jose, hopefully interviewing him about his work
Did he,
as a director.
Yeah, is he the one that did the Headless Horseman that had the?
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
I watched that. I quite
enjoyed
enjoyed that. I did.
Yeah.
You did your review on that. I remember watching it.
I did. Yeah. Yep.
There's only one other thing I forgot to mention that I will be doing sometime this week, because I'm a big fan of Gareth Edwards. I am going to be going to the big screen to watch The Creator. So I'll probably be seeing that on Thursday this week, and I'll be putting my review out on the channel of The Creator by the end of this week.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, sir, for your pick, and thank you for joining me today. I know you're going to probably get some rest. For the rest of you, please hit the like button for us, subscribe to the channel, and go subscribe to this man over here because he is so fucking awesome.
Thank you.
And we will see you all next time here on the Cinematic Synergy.